Hey, what's up guys, YikeZ here, and we're back in our Arena of Valor video. Today we're gonna go over the patch notes, and today we have a special guest. Zane is here with me, so we're gonna go over stuff together, and we're gonna discuss stuff. So first here we have the game system and improvement adjustments. So not a lot of stuff are changing, just basically the MVP system, and at the end of the matches we're gonna get more details on the builds and stuff. And then when you guys join a game, you're gonna get a cool dance, and we're gonna have a victory dance. And then here we have the battlefield changes that Zane is gonna tell you guys about it.
Yeah, so first, when you drop the dragon, the wave is gonna get buffed now, and one of the minions is gonna be a stronger melee that drops more gold and has more HP. And also, all the minions that die within range of the outer towers now give you less gold. That'll make it more important to win your lane. And the experience required for heroes to get to level 2 is reduced by 8 points. So at the second wave, you can get level 2 faster, and the Sky Dragon speed is increased. And also a huge buff on the Abyssal and Caesar buff. They're increased from 90 to 120 seconds.
Yeah, so that's really huge. Basically, it's more important now to take over the objectives. So we've seen a lot of teams like Trade Dragon and Darkslayer buff, but I think what we're gonna see more is like teams like contesting both of the buffs at the same time. Probably send like 3 people at Dragon and make sure they don't take the dark buff, because both buffs are gonna be like lasting longer now, meaning that they're gonna be more important in the team fights. Yeah. So now, like, if we go down, we're gonna see the equipment adjustments. We have the support items here. A lot of changes to the support items actually. A lot of them are getting nerfed, and some of them are actually getting buffed, which is pretty cool as well. So none of us play support, so we're not really gonna go into details about the supports. But now here we're gonna come down to the item called Shuriken. So this is like a pre-item that goes into like Fenrir, and it's gonna go to Blitz Blade. So there's a new passive for this, which is gonna have a cooldown for 3 seconds, and also there's gonna be a new passive added to Fenrir. And now we have the jungle items, and these jungle items are getting like a huge buff. So I'm gonna let Zane take over and talk about the jungle items, since he's a jungle main.
Yeah, so with the jungle changes, at the second tier now, the stacks are going to be able to go up to 20 instead of 15, but they're getting reduced how much buffs they give you. So early game, this is going to be a bit of a nerf, but as over time the game goes on, junglers will be able to scale better. So it's actually a pretty good change. And also, they're making it so when you clear any minions before you get the second tier jungle item, it'll remember that you cleared them, and as soon as you buy the second tier, you'll automatically get the stacks for any minions that you cleared before you got it, which is a really good buff for junglers.
It's really good. So if you guys get the second tier item, you're gonna have 20 stacks, and if you guys buy the third tier item, you're gonna have 30 stacks, which means you're gonna have to do more damage when you guys get the stacks. But yeah, basically that was about everything about the items and the changes to the map and the game improvements. So now we're gonna move over to the heroes. Our first hero here is Natalia. So for her first skill is actually getting a buff. Her range is getting increased by 1 meter, which is pretty decent. She's a really good hero, but pretty hard to play. If you guys land all of your skills, she's probably gonna end up killing you with 2 skill shots. Her damage is kind of broken, so not a lot of nerf or buff to her. It's just basically a little bit of a buff to not make her broken. And also her second skill, Magic Nova, is getting a range buff as well. And then here Flash
is getting a nice buff actually on his ult. He's gonna be slowed less when he ults, so he can move around faster, and the damage is gonna be higher as well. You see it's from 0.6 scaling to 0.7, and also the cooldown time is reduced by 10 seconds at all.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. And now here we have Astrid. So she's been a hero that a lot of people have been sleeping on. I think she's a great hero in Darkslayer Rain actually, since she could just ult when she's getting ganks. Alright, so for Astrid, for her first ability, as you guys can see here, her physical damage is gonna get increased for her first ability. doing a lot of more damage, and the attack speed after using your first ability is going to be increased from 20% to 30%, which means that you guys are going to be able to get more hits out. And then her second ability, if you guys have an attack speed bonus, means that you're going to charge faster, meaning that you're going to land your second ability faster. And the biggest change to her, or biggest buff to her, probably is her ultimate right now, her third ability, which means you guys need to have someone below 60% health to stun them, and to deal the true damage you also need to have them less than 60%, and the maximum damage that it's going to do against jungle monsters it increased to 2000, which is pretty cool. And now let's move on to the next hero. Here we have Ormar. Ormar is getting a lot of changes. He's basically getting a revamp, and Zane is going to take over.
Yeah, so his passive, where he has a chance of stunning you, is now getting doubled from 20 to 40%. To compensate for the buff, they're changing the stun time scaling to a fixed 3/4 of a second. And the damage mechanics of this, it's going from 10 to 16% of physical damage to 3 to 7% of his own HP as magic damage. So not really much of a change there, except for he has a higher chance of stunning you now in the passive. And skill 2, he gets more stacks when he hits a hero instead of just a target, and the cooldown time is also increased. And skill 3, he gets HP every time he hits an enemy hero with one of his spins, and skill 1 can be used while he's casting his ultimate, which is a really big buff on this, which is why they're also increasing the cooldown time by a lot.
Yeah, and also what I think is happening right now is with his second skill, before you could hit anything and stack up for your third stun, which is going to be a permanent stun. So I think they changed that so you could only stack on heroes. So basically you have to hit a hero 3 times to have a guaranteed stun on the next hit that you have on your hammer. And now here we're gonna go over Zuka. So he's getting a big buff, I guess. His passive is getting destroyed, so his passive is getting a lot of nerf to it. It's going from 30% starting to 15%, but his first skill is actually growing a lot of more damage. It's going from 0.5 to plus 20 per level, which means he's gonna start with 60, which is pretty amazing. So if you guys build 80 over him, he's gonna scale up and do a lot of more damage, and that, I think that's a pretty good buff to him, to his first skill at least. And then his second skill, his shield is gonna be a lot bigger, so he's gonna go from 150 to 250, and is gonna increase 50 per level, which is pretty insane if you guys think about it. And the shield is gonna disappear, lasting for only 3 seconds. So this time, before I think it was about 4.5 seconds, now it's 3 seconds. So after you guys land the shield, you have 3 seconds to use the shield, and that's about it. And I think the cooldown on it is gonna be 30 seconds. No,
I think what's happening is they're getting after the shield from Panda Chariot runs out, he gets a second buff, which increases his physical attack, which lasts 3 seconds. So it's basically a new passive on the skill.
Yeah, so, and his ultimate as well, just like his first skill, going from 0.5 physical attack to 70 fixed damage, plus 40 each level, plus 0.25 physical attack. So it's turning into half, but he's getting a lot of physical damage for it, which is pretty good, and I think that's a really big buff. And now we're gonna move to Richter, and Zane is gonna take over once again.
So yeah, they're increasing Richter's health actually, which is surprising to me. It's about, I don't know, 25 per level.
Yeah.
Which honestly, late game, that's quite a bit of HP. Skill 1, the sprint and dashes are getting a little bit of a rework actually. Looks like they're lowering the fixed damage, but they're increasing how much they scale by per level.
Yeah, I think,
and
like,
they're increasing the physical scaling. So maybe they want Richter's to go more assassin instead of building like mantle as we see right now.
Yeah, that's right.
And the grass stun time. So when you have the bush buff and you dash, it'll stun. I guess they're changing that from 1 second to
the green sword.
0.75. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So the cooldown time is actually getting reduced on that one as well, and his second skill is actually getting a bigger cooldown time, so it's gonna go from 3 seconds to 5 seconds now, and that's basically Richter. So I think his early game is gonna be kind of weaker now because he's gonna start with lower AD, but as time passes by he's gonna level up and he's gonna get more AD, so he's gonna be probably a monster late game with the health that he's gonna have and all these buffs that are getting added onto him. And then here we have Emily. The only change that's basically changing to her is her ultimate, which is getting an increase for late game, so nothing has changed for her early game, but as you guys update your third ability you're gonna feel like you do more magic damage, and the magic damage is actually increased for nearby units as well, from going from 80 and 100 to 90 and 120. And now we have Tara as well. Her ultimate is actually getting an increase, and the cooldown time is getting reduced from 40 seconds to 35. So this is really small buffs for these two heroes. They are both dark lane players, so if you guys play in dark side you probably are familiar with these heroes, and these are pretty small buffs, but I think for late game these are going to be really awesome. And now here we have Arthur and Scott.
Arthur's small as well.
Yeah,
so
the buff.
They only give Arthur 5 base armor added.
Of course.
Which really, I don't think will help him that much. He'll still stay pretty out of the meta.
Yeah, now
and
here,
then for
Scott
as well.
Yeah.
This is the punch, right? So they're increasing the damage.
No. This is the dash where you get an armor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the early game it's about the same, but late game this will increase, I guess.
Yeah.
So it'll go from 360 to 450 at level 15, which is pretty good buff. And also the nerf, they're buffing cooldown from 7 seconds level 1 to 6 seconds overall. This kind of rounds it out from being 7 seconds early game and 5.5 late, so they're meeting in the middle, I guess, which I think is a pretty good change.
Yeah, I actually think this is really big for Scott. I mean, he was one of the most used heroes in like AWC. Korea and like Thailand teams really like loved using him. He was like one-shotting everyone, and his second skill is still the same. He could one-shot people, and now his first skill is actually getting increased damage for late game. So I want to see how that works out. He already does a lot of damage to towers using Omni Arms and stuff. So it's gonna be pretty insane, and the cooldown is reduced, which means he's gonna have like higher mobility, just using the dashes, getting onto people and stuff on faster cooldowns and doing more damage now. So it's gonna be pretty sick seeing all these changes to Scott as well. And now here we have our boy Ibenet, Groot, or Tree, whatever you guys want to call it. His passive is actually getting a nerf. The levels are gonna go down, and you actually get, I think he's getting a big nerf actually here. So as you guys can see, the health restored is going down, and the mana cost actually is going down as well from 14 to 10. And then his long skill actually is going to do less physical damage as well. So I feel like they're taking a more tanky approach to him, since he's like a tree and like he gets all his health back and stuff, and he goes into bushes. So I feel like he's moving more to a support hero instead of a side lane. So that's pretty sick. With all the changes to the support items, we've got to see how he's gonna work out after this patch. And then here we have a small buff to Irie. As you guys can see, her base recovery health is gonna go from 45 to 51, so that's a pretty small buff. And now if you want to take over and speak about Marja and Lubu. Sorry for interrupting guys, YikeZ here, and I just wanted to let you guys know that the first part of this video is actually over now, and the second part is actually on Zane's channel. So hopefully we're actually keeping you guys updated with all the changes that are coming to Arena of Valor. So if you guys are interested in more of this video, make sure to go and check out Zane's channel. I'm gonna have the links in the description below, so go check him out and let me know what happens. And much love, and see you guys next time.
So I guess they realized